Good morning everyone. In this video we will be talking about software development process. We will be looking at software development process overview, and we will be looking at object oriented development stages, and we will also look at different types of development life cycles. Okay. So a software development process provides a basis for the organized production of a software. Okay, so how a software should be developed, this basically it defines several stages in software development process. Okay, it uses a collection of predefined techniques and notations. Okay, that's what we have been seeing. So we have been developing different models, different techniques, etc. We'll see where these things are used. Okay, in the coming slides. Software development has a sequence of well-defined stages, okay, each with a distinct purpose, input, and output. And let's have a look at them in detail. So here are the different development stages. At first is the system conception. So we have to conceive an application and formulate the tentative requirements as part of this stage. So system conception. Then comes the analysis stage. Okay. So we have to deeply understand the requirements by constructing different models. We have seen different models. Okay, what are those models? The class models, the state models. Okay, and then like the interaction models. So we have to basically form them. Okay, so and then like that's how we have to actually understand these requirements. Okay, that's what we will be doing in this part of analysis stage. Then there is a system design stage. Okay, we have to devise a high level strategy. Okay, so basically like we have to design the architecture for solving the application problem. Then comes the stage like class design. Okay, we have to augment and edges the real world models from the analysis so that they are actually amenable for computer implementation. So earlier we have prepared these sort of models, okay, how they are applicable for the implementation stages. We also have to determine the algorithms for the realizing the operations. Okay, so this is what the class design stage actually deals with. So then comes this implementation stage. In the implementation stage, we have to translate the design into programming code and database structures. Okay, this stage actually deals with this one. This is also another very important stage in this software development process. Then comes the testing. So the testing should ensure the application is actually suitable for the actual use and actually satisfies the requirements. We have to test this thing. Okay? The application has to be tested. So all these stages, like I will discuss them in detail in the coming slides. Okay, so now I am quickly introducing what each stage is. Once the testing is finished, so there is next stage is the training. So we have to actually help users master these new applications. Okay, so then only like they can benefit out of it. Okay, so that is another stage, which is training. Then you have to actually deploy it. So the deployment stage place the application in the field and gracefully cut over from the legacy applications. If you have a legacy application which is already running, okay, slowly like you basically come out of the legacy application because like you have the new system. Okay, the transition is not always easy, but then like okay, so you have to gracefully come out of it. Then the next stage is the maintenance. Okay, so we have to preserve the long-term viability of the application. Okay, what it really means, I will talk in the coming slides. Okay, so these are the different stages in this sort of software development process. Okay, so the 9 stages: system conception, analysis, system design, class design, implementation, testing, training, deployment, and then the maintenance. Okay, these are the different stages. So in the object-oriented development, throughout the development, the same concepts and notations actually apply. Okay, so whatever the designs which we have already discussed, the class design, the state design, okay, and these interaction designs, okay, interaction models, okay, so these are the things like which are actually used everywhere. So the same concepts and notations actually apply. Okay, the only difference is the shift of perspective from the initial emphasis on business needs. Initial emphasis will be on the business needs to the latter emphasis on the computer resources. Okay, so how the system can be deployed or like implemented for certain computer resources. Okay, original emphasis is on the business needs, latter emphasis is on the computer resources. Object-oriented development approach actually moves much of the software development effort to analysis and design. That is one of the main key features of object-oriented development. At the same time, main advantages of that one also. Since the resulting design is cleaner and more adaptable, further changes are much easier with object-oriented development. Okay. So now let us look at the stages which we have discussed for this sort of software development process in a little bit detail. Okay, so we will not be going very deep into them, but then like we will be looking at so that like you can understand each and everything. So originally, like I mentioned them, now you will understand them. Okay, later we will really go. Okay, later videos will really go very deep into the respective stages. Okay. First, the system conception. System conception actually deals with the genesis of an application. Initially, somebody thinks of a great idea for an application, and he has to prepare a business case before he actually can approach different companies, different people, so that like they can fund for the development. Okay, or else like if it is developed by this person, like it can be actually sold to an organization. Okay, and eventually he will be selling it to it. It don't have to be a completely new idea. Okay, so it can be also be an improvement to the existing system. Okay, so that's about the system conception. The interesting thing about system conception is the innovator must understand both the business need and also the technical capabilities, technical and technological capabilities of that particular type. Okay, so that is actually important to remember. Okay, he has to understand both business need and also like technological capabilities. So then comes the analysis stage. Okay, after the system conception, analysis focuses mostly at creation of the models which we have discussed already. So now we have all the basic concepts ready for following an object-oriented software development process. So analysts actually capture and scrutinize the requirements by constructing these models. Okay, so analysts actually do this. So basically they will be constructing the models. By that one, like they will try to capture and scrutinize the requirements and remodeling the things and everything. Developers must fully understand the problem before addressing the additional complexities of the design. So before we actually go to the design stage, like so developers should actually understand this analysis in detail, and they should be understanding the problem in detail before we actually address the additional complexities of the design. During the analysis stage, developers should consider the available resources. So every sort of resource they have access to, they should be using. Say for example, documents which are existing, okay, with legacy applications which you want to develop a new application for that one. So you have to check all the things. Okay, business interviews. So you have to talk with these people. Okay, so and then like you have to actually somehow try to extract these requirements while you are actually modeling the designs. Okay, and you should also be studying the related applications. Okay, so how to basically adapt all these things. So these are all these steps of this analysis stage. The analysis itself has two stages. One is the domain analysis, the other one is the application analysis. The domain analysis actually focuses on the real world things whose semantics the application actually captures. So the applications, the physical objects, whatever the related to the application you are developing, domain analysis actually studies. Say for example, airplane flight is the real world object that a flight reservation system must represent. Okay, but the point is like this is not the thing like which the people are actually seeing. The user of the system is actually seeing. So these domain objects actually will be necessary for developing the application, but these are the things which are not visible to the user. So the domain objects exist independently of any application. They are meaningful to business experts. Okay, domain analysis. So we will discuss about domain analysis as well in detail. Okay. Then comes the application analysis. The application analysis is the one which actually addresses the computer aspects of the applications that are actually visible to the user. If you are developing an application, okay, so it will be eventually used by some users. Okay, and what are the things which are actually visible to the users are actually dealt in terms of application analysis. Okay, to give you a quick idea. Okay, say for example, like you have the class models and everything. These things like which people will not be seeing. Of course, like you will have class models for domain analysis, and you will also have the class models for application analysis. Okay, but the thing is like the class models of the domain analysis, people will not be seeing them. But whereas like when you think in terms of the interaction models, the use cases and those things, though at that particular time, like your perception, you are looking at the application itself is from the user perspective. Okay. So what are the actors and what are the use cases? Those are the things which are actually relevant more for this sort of application analysis. So the flight reservation screen, for example, flight reservation screen is part of this sort of flight reservation system. Okay. So, but these application analysis and the components of this one, okay, so whatever maybe the development designs and all those things, like whatever you models you develop, they are meaningful only in the context of this particular application. Okay, so that's about the application analysis. These are the two stages of analysis. Then comes the system design part. Devise a high level strategy, that is the architecture for solving the application problem. Okay, so I already mentioned it. So you should be able to design a proper architecture for that one, and also like all the performance aspects and etc. So we will be discussing about system design in detail in the coming videos. The choice of architecture is actually based on the requirements as well as the past experience. Okay, so what is the system which you are trying to develop? Okay, so and what are its requirements? Whether you have developed any similar applications earlier, the architecture basically is based on that. Okay, so which of the architectures are better for a similar sort of application? So your past experience influences a lot in the system design. The system designer must understand how a system interacts with other systems as well. Okay, eventually you have to deploy that one. So how this system interacts with other systems, okay, which are already deployed, or like some other things which are beyond the system. Of course, like we have already discussed, like when we are thinking in terms of use case models. Okay, our current system can not only interact with the actors who are persons or like some sort of functionality, okay, but they will also be contacting with the external systems. Okay, so how the interaction actually happens, the system design should basically take care of that. The architecture must also support future modifications of the applications. The applications will not stay constant. Okay, there will be regular modifications to these applications, and the architectures must support this sort of future modification. Then comes the next stage is the class design. Okay, okay. So during the class design, the developer actually expands and optimizes these analysis models. Okay, which we have already developed. So the analysis models. Okay, the developer will actually expand and also to make some optimizations. At this stage, like there will be shift in emphasis from the application concepts towards the computer concepts. Okay, slowly, like from the sort of class design, like the emphasis is moving towards the computer concepts. Developers choose different algorithms to implement these major system functions. Okay, so these are the parts of this sort of class design. Once you have the class design, the developers have to map the design elements to the programming languages and the database code. This is actually part of the implementation stage. Okay. And this is where like people will actually, developers will actually develop the source code, okay, for the application. Then the next stage, very important stage is testing. Okay, the system must be carefully tested before actually commissioned for the actual use. Okay. So you have developed the system; it has to be tested properly. Okay. So that like whether it is behaving the way like it should actually behave. Okay, whether it is satisfying all the requirements what were given. So it has to be properly tested before you actually deploy it. Okay. So the testers once again revisit the original business requirements and verify that the system delivers the proper functionality. So this is the stage where we are looking at all things. Okay. And if say for example, eventually the system is deployed on different hardware and operating systems, we have to test on multiple these hardware and operating system platforms. Okay, before we actually deploy it on them. Because it may work on one of the operating systems, it may not work on other ones. So this testing stage actually should be dealing with all these things. But the testing, okay, so and the checking a program can be at several levels. There are different things like unit tests, okay, so which are like checking small portion of the codes or a single class or something. Okay, so unit tests are also very important. And system tests actually exercise a major system or the entire application. Okay, so these unit tests and system tests, in fact actually both of the things are actually required. Okay, so that like the system can be properly tested and then like deployed. Okay, testing is one stage. And the remaining stages, basically like the training, organization should basically train its users so that they fully benefit from the new applications. So this is actually taken care in the training stage. So of course, like along with the applications, like you also have to provide proper documentation, and there should be teams which will be actually taking care of the documentation of these applications. And the quality control can actually check the software against the user documentation. And in this process, they also can check like whether the requirements are satisfied or not. Okay, that is about the training stage. Then there is a deployment stage. So place the application in the field and gracefully cut over from legacy applications. This I have already discussed when I was mentioning the stages. Okay. So once you actually deploy the application, okay, so say for example on the client side, on the client infrastructure or whatever it is, okay, there may be some unexpected interactions. Okay, say for example, like there is another system which is also running on the particular infrastructure, and probably like it is intersecting or interacting, like say for example, some clashes with the database or something like that. Okay, so the software customizations are actually required. So during the deployment stage, like you will be actually taking care of these things. So the last stage is this maintenance. Okay, of course, like it is not the last stage. You will see in terms of the life cycles. Okay, so the maintenance stage, we have to preserve the long-term viability of the applications. There may be some bugs which actually slip through the testing phases. Actually, okay, during the development process, these bugs could not be identified, but these bugs may appear during the usage. Okay, so something like memory leaks. Okay, so we also know about Java-based applications. And then like during one of the lectures, like this question also had popped up by one of your friends. Okay, so basic the idea is like bugs may also with this sort of memory leaks. Okay, say for example, some of the classes and objects are actually leaking memory. You will not be able to test it in the beginning. Okay, so in ideal cases, these things should also be identified. But then, like most often, these memory leaks and such sort of bugs, you can actually notice them as the system is deployed and then like as it actually runs around. So memory leaks, like certain objects will be cannot be recycled by garbage collectors. Okay, so eventually these things stack up and then like they will be completely occupying the memory. But then like you may notice it only after running the system for months at a stretch. If such bugs appear, like you have to fix them. So this is also part of the maintenance actually. And then like once an application becomes successful, there will be enhancement requests. Okay, new requests will be coming. So we add certain features and those things. So that is also part of this sort of maintenance. Okay, so enhancement requests. By developing the models, okay, so these models actually is this sort of maintenance and transition across staff changes. Say for example, like staff will not be there permanently. Okay, so some people will be going out of the organization and then like new people will come. If you have the models, it is easy for them to understand, for the new staff to basically understand the current system, then it is easy for them to maintain also. Okay, so these are the different stages. As part of this course is concerned, it is actually interesting. Okay, so in the curriculum is concerned, so basically like of course like analysis we have actually seen most part of it in the unit 5, like okay, so they were not mentioning about the analysis, but then like I will quickly summarize the analysis parts. Okay, both the domain analysis and the application analysis, and then the focus has been at the design, okay, and the implementation. So the testing, training, deployment, and maintenance. So you know the basics of the things. So I already have discussed it, okay, in this video. But then, like as part of this remaining part of the course, we will not be touching those things in detail. Okay, but our focus will be at the analysis, design, and implementation, and of course, like system conception as well, which I will be quickly discussing in one of the videos. Okay, immediate videos actually. So that's about the sort of software development, object-oriented software development stages. But then, like in terms of the development life cycle is concerned, okay, so it can actually follow the waterfall development. One interesting thing, actually, these stages and these sort of software development life cycles, whatever we are talking in terms of object-oriented development, these things are also applicable for general software engineering as well, and other models as well. Okay. Said that one, let us talk about this waterfall development. In the waterfall development, developers perform the software development stages in a rigid linear sequence with no backtracking. So you will have the system conception, then you will have the analysis, and then like you will have the design. Only after the analysis is fully finished, you will go to the design. Only after the design is fully finished, you will go to the implementation. Okay, class design actually. Okay. So then like basically like we'll be going towards this implementation. Okay. So only after the implementation is finished, like you will go to the testing, then the other stages. So each stage is completed in its entirety before the next stage is actually begun. Okay. So this sort of waterfall development is actually suitable only for well understood applications with predictable outputs from analysis and design. The systems which were developed pretty extensively and then like you are just redeveloping things, okay, redeveloping things for a different client. Such applications are actually very rare. But a big problem of waterfall development, of course, like it has a lot of problems. Okay, you cannot actually see the complete system until it is completely complete, and until it is complete. So it does not deliver a useful system until completion. So if you don't see the application until it is completed, it is really difficult for you to assess the progress. And if there are any errors in the system, or like if any changes are to be taken, correcting a project is not at all possible. Okay, that is the problem with waterfall development. There are alternate developments, okay, development life cycles, which is iterative development. Iterative development is very flexible, okay, relatively flexible when compared to this waterfall model. You have to first develop this sort of nucleus of the system, then grow the scope of the system slowly. So you basically develop the nucleus of the system, slowly iterate and keep on adding more properties and behavior to the existing objects. And you will also be adding new kinds of objects, etc. Okay, slowly you will iterate on. Okay. There are multiple iterations as the system evolves, okay, to the final delivery. So there can be several number of iterations before you actually deliver the complete system. Okay. Interestingly, each iteration includes a full complement of stages. So an iteration will contain like analysis, design, implementation, testing. Okay. So if there are any problems or something like say for example during the design stage, if you see the problem, it is not like you have to go to the implementation and testing. You can even go back, go to the analysis, go to complete different iteration again, and then like complete stop. Okay, so this is what is flexible enough, and then like it actually allows you to take care of all these things. So in iterations like you'll be going, if you see any problem, you can even go back. Okay, so previous iteration and start again. So with this sort of iterative development, you can actually gracefully respond to these changes. Okay. Changes are always normal, okay, to a system, and it also minimizes the risk of failure. Okay, so this is about this sort of iterative development. So basically, like what we have seen is like different stages in software development process. Okay, and what are these stages and how these basically stages should be applied in different development life cycles. Okay, whether it is waterfall model or iterative development. And iterative development is the better one, and then like this is what, the one which most of the people will be using. Okay. So regarding the reference is concerned, this is an excerpt from chapter 10 of this object-oriented modeling and design with UML. Okay, so Michael Blaha and James Rimbaud. Thank you very much for your